Good afternoon, everyone. It is fantastic to see you. My name is Carolyn Curtis. I am the CEO and founder of the Carup Company, which is a company that specializes in maternal child health, family planning, reproductive health, women's health. I am going to be giving you an informational webinar today on my coaching program called Mastering Pregnancy and Birth. Now, this is not a childbirth education program. As it says, it's mastering. So it's taking you a little bit beyond to actually help you get prepared for your pregnancy. So let's take a deep dive. I'm going to show my presentation and I'm going to take my face out of this video as I go through the presentation, and then I will come back on. Okay. Um, so, mastering pregnancy and birth. I want to just say welcome to everyone and to thank you so much for being here with us. Um, I give you a little bit of my background. I am a nurse midwife. Since 1979, I have spent my life in a very, very interesting and fun career. I did my midwifery at Georgetown University. I've worked in clinical practice in the United States for more than 24 years as a nurse midwife. And then I did about 20 years in international health. I have directed nurse midwife programs. I have served as a clinical preceptor for students, and I have worked with families in the birthing arena, as you would think, for over 24 years. Let's look at what we're going to cover today, what's included in this course. We're going to take a little bit of a look at maternal mortality in the United States, as well as provide general information. I'm also going to provide information for women of color. We're going to take a look at the healthcare system and look at what are the options for me. I have some ideas as to what I would like my birth experience and pregnancy experience to be like, but what are those options available for me to help me to be able to meet the things that I would like to see in my birth experience? We're also going to talk a little bit about insurance, maternity, and paternity leave. This class is going to cover those things. It's very important to know what exists so that you know what you have available to you. And then, as we end all of this out, after we've looked at all these things, it is really what do you want your pregnancy and birth experience to be like? And that is the question of the hour. I'd like for you to take just maybe 30 seconds to ponder and maybe write down what is it that you would want your pregnancy and birth experience to be like. So let's take 30 seconds to consider that, okay? Are you coming up with ideas? Think of all your fantasy things as well when you write out this list. Okay, we're going to be done. Let's move forward. I hope you have your ideas. Let's talk a little bit about what does this whole term of maternal mortality, what does that mean? And that is looking at for every 100,000 births that occur, we're looking at the number of deaths that have occurred in the first 6 weeks. So think about the 6 week checkup. We're looking at the number of moms who may not have made it to that 6 week checkup out of the 100,000 births that occurred that year. Okay. Let's also take a look at what's going on with women of color. I have data here on the slide for 2018 to 2021, and I also have some updated information for 2022. But what we can see in general is that there was almost a doubling from 2018 to 2021 in terms of the number of deaths overall in the United States. Keep in mind that the United States is the worst performing country of all the developed countries in the world. That is not a good reputation that we want to have. In 2022, that number did decrease down a bit. It decreased down from 32.9 to 22.3. Now, keep in mind that we also had the pandemic in 2020, and about 20% of the maternal deaths that we're looking at were due to the pandemic. For whites, we're seeing that the death rate also almost doubled between 2018 to 2021. It did go down from 26.6 to 19 in 2022. Blacks almost doubled since 2018, moving to 37.3 to 69.9. However, that number did drop down from 69.9 to 49.5. And then for Hispanic women, that number again doubled over 2018 to 2021. That number did go down to 16.9 from 28 in 2022. What we're seeing, however, is that when you look at the different racial groups, you're going to see that there was between the white and black deaths, 2.5 times between 2018, 2019, 2.5, 2020, almost 3 times, 2021, 2.67, about 3 times. So that is quite something to look at. When we look at blacks, we can see that that went to 3.16 times for 2018 compared to whites and blacks, 3.54 times for blacks. For 2020, 3 times that, and then 2021, 2.5. When we look at whites compared to Hispanic Latina, it was not quite 1 time greater. Only in 2021 did it increase up to 1 time greater. So this is what we're looking at. And the other thing to consider is, what is the age range? And what we are seeing with this particular slide is that there has been a continued increase in deaths, no matter the age, no matter what age group you fell in, whether it was under 25, 25 to 39, or 40 and over. There was an increase in the rate of death. But what we need to also take a look at is that if you are 25 to 39 and then you're 40 and over, there is a big, big difference. When you are 40 or over, you have 7 times the rate of dying than someone who's under the age of 20 years of age, 25. If you are between 25 to 39 years of age, it is 4.46 times that of those who are under the age of 25. When are these mothers dying? That's key. What we see is that once you have your baby, 47% of women are dying during pregnancy up to the first week after birth. So in the first 7 days after a woman's had her baby, 50% of them, 47% are dying. And then the other 53% are dying from the first week up until 12 months after they've had their baby. Why are moms dying? There are 5 main causes as to why maternal deaths are occurring. We know that it is mental health is the primary reason. 23% of maternal deaths are due to mental health problems. Hemorrhage accounts for 14% of maternal deaths. Cardiovascular disease, which includes high blood pressure. It would also include preeclampsia, eclampsia, 13%. Cardiomegaly is when there is an actual disease of the heart muscle itself. That is 9%. Blood clots, 9% as well. Let's take a look at some examples of this. Tori Bowie was an elite Olympic athlete who died of complications from childbirth. She was only 32 years of age, and it is thought that the reason for her death was eclampsia and cardiac, which falls into the cardiac category. Eclampsia is also known as toxemia. If you ask grandmothers, great aunties, they would be able to tell you that term toxemia. Serena Williams. Serena Williams was age 35 when she had her first baby, and she had a history of having had blood clots, and she ended up with a blood clot in her lung. She had to be very proactive for herself. And what she ended up doing was having to really plead with the nursing staff to say, I know what's going on. I've had this before, for them to really pay attention. Beyonce, she was 6 when she had her twins, and she experienced preeclampsia, which also falls in the cardiac disease category. Kira Johnson. Kira was a very, very healthy mom who, with her second pregnancy, went in for a second planned cesarean section. Everything was planned to go well. She did well. Baby was born, no problem with the baby. However, when she went for recovery, her husband noted that there was blood in her Foley catheter. They ordered an MRI to be stat meaning like it needs to be done immediately. However, that MRI was never done. The nurses said to her husband, when he inquired about getting this MRI done, that she was not a priority. So he continued to advocate for her to get this MRI done. He was very concerned about how pushy to be since he was a Black man. He wanted to advocate for his wife, but not have it where it ended up being an issue where then she would be ignored even further. So after 8 hours, they finally took her back to the operating room, and what they found was that Kira had bled 3.5 pints of blood, or quarts of blood, into her belly. When we talk liters, we're talking quarts of blood. She died on the table. Her family sued the hospital and won. That hospital was investigated by the federal government for racist practices. So we know that there are problems in the healthcare system for women of color. These things being racial bias, women are not listened to regarding their birth preferences. African Americans are the least likely to be listened to. Often moms are not listened to when they talk about what their birth preferences are. The problem of the lack of Black and brown providers. Black women have expressed a desire for racial concordance with their pregnancy and childbirth providers, meaning they want somebody that looks like them. And I also looked at a study that did an 11-year analysis of more than 9 million hospital births. And what they found was that Black women had a 35% higher risk of dying in a hospital setting during childbirth, regardless of their income level, regardless of their insurance type, or any other social driver of health. 1 in 6 women report experiencing one or more types of mistreatment, such as feeling like they have lost the control that they should have and decision making, feeling that they are not feeling, but actually being shouted at, being scolded, being threatened, being ignored, receiving no response to requests for help. And also, this study showed that where this mistreatment occurs differs a lot depending on where you have your baby. Only 5% of women who had their babies at home experienced mistreatment compared to 28% of women who gave birth in a hospital. Other factors that made it better for the woman in terms of her not having mistreatment was if she had a vaginal birth, if it was a community setting, meaning a community birth, a birth center, home birth, with a midwife, if she was white, if she had had more than this was not her first child. So usually women who are going in with their first child seem to experience more mistreatment. And also if they were older than 30 years of age. These are the factors that are going into some of the problems that are being experienced by women in the healthcare system. So what this course is going to help you to do is to also take a look at the health facilities that you're going to have your baby in. Are you aware of the cesarean section rate at the hospital that you may have a preference for? Is that hospital baby friendly? How far are you willing to travel for your health care? These are questions to ask. I bring these questions up because where my family home is in St. Mary's County in Maryland, there are 3 county hospitals that are about the same distance from our home. There are 3 different counties, and so we can travel about 30 minutes in either direction and be at any one of these hospitals. And so I looked up the cesarean section rate for these hospitals. It was really interesting. One hospital had a cesarean section rate of 27%, and then another hospital had a cesarean section rate of 42%. So, excuse me, when I look at those 2 hospitals, the likelihood of me having an unnecessary cesarean section will be higher in that hospital that has a 42% cesarean section rate. Now, what about consent forms? The question is do you understand what you are signing with consent forms? I have also taken a look at some consent forms that you can get online. Often hospitals are wanting to be really efficient, and so they will send you things online. And the question that I would have for you is, have you reviewed those consent forms and do you understand what is actually in the consent form? This course is going to help you take a look at a consent form to really understand what is that consent form saying, what are you agreeing to. In one of the consent forms that I looked at, you are actually signing for a cesarean section and may not even know it. You may also be signing for your care to be taken care of by someone other than your physician, that they are able to delegate your care to another provider. Now, what about insurance and parental leave? That's a good one. A lot of times we are just know that we've got maternity leave or paternity leave, and your level of leave is going to depend upon where you work, how many hours you work, and what your income may be. Persons who are making $14 an hour and below have probably fewer of them have any sort of leave or insurance. However, this course will show you how to check out your ability to get short-term disability. When we look at the comparison of Black women towards white women, 89% of Black women have health insurance compared to 93% of whites. And this can leave you with quite a financial gap if you don't have insurance. The other question is, what about your own emergency funds? Do you have money saved up for your hospitalization when you have a baby, either hospitalization or even the costs for having your baby? And what I want to say is that it does not have to be like this. It does not have to be like this. Let's go back to the question of, what do you want your pregnancy and birth experience to be like? Let's revisit those things that you wrote down to see how can we get to meet those things as much as possible. Well, I want to say that those things can be yours. They can be yours. The Mastering Pregnancy and Birth coaching program is going to help you to understand and take control of your health, improve your health risks, enable you to make informed choices about your health providers, as well as the location for your birth, and make deliberative, informed decisions regarding your pregnancy and birth. What are you going to learn inside of this coaching program? Let's take a look. The coaching program has 11 lessons inside of 4 modules, and it is done over a 1-month period of time. The first week in modules 1, you will get to know your health and your risk factors, understand your health history, understand the health risks for pregnancy and the postpartum period based upon your health history. What are you more prone to have problems with or be at risk for? You will learn how to validate your body mass index, and you will know in the first week how much weight you should gain during pregnancy. That's always a big question. How much should I gain during pregnancy? Also, you'll be able to know what your normal blood pressure is. In module 2, there are 3 lessons, and that's going to take us into looking at your finances and your insurance. We'll take a look at your insurance and have you work through a worksheet on your insurance. Look at emergency funds. What do you have for emergency funds to cover childbirth, pregnancy and childbirth? And then what type of leave do you have? Do you have maternity leave, paternity leave? If so, how much do you have? If you do not have maternity or paternity leave, are you eligible for short-term disability? And that's something that you can purchase privately. Modules 3 and 4 are going to look at your health provider and the location for birth. So we'll look at the different types of OB providers that would be considered safe providers for pregnancy, childbirth, and the postpartum period. Look at the different types of places or locations that you could go for birth. That means taking a look at hospitals, taking a look at birth centers, taking a look at home birth, and also how to find the ratings for cesarean section and baby-friendly hospitals. Where can I go for that information? How can I find out what those cesarean section rates are like? Module number 4 is going to now, based upon all of this information that you have collected in the first 3 weeks, help you to really answer this question realistically about what do you want your birth experience to be like, and to make sure that you have information regarding informed consent, that you know the consent form that you're signing, understand everything that you're signing with that consent form. Now, Module 5, it's not an official module. Module 5 is the ability to have a 30-minute phone call with me, a personal call to answer any questions that you might have for anything that's being covered in the coaching program. I would suggest that this be done prior to that module 5, which is the 5th week, so that everything can be wrapped up in those 4 weeks. It doesn't have to wait until after everything is completed. So why should I buy this course? That might be the question you might have for today. Well, it is going to help you to really know and understand your family and your personal history now and forever. That history is not going to change. That history is not going to change. And so once you really know it and understand it, you'll be able to use the information that you have gathered, not only for this pregnancy, but for every medical provider that you go to. You can either edit down what you have already gathered, but you will have all of this information available. It will help you to understand your own health risks for pregnancy and also for your own life. Uh, Sometimes things that we develop during pregnancy can also develop later in life. Give an example, if you were to develop diabetes during pregnancy, it makes you more prone for having diabetes later in life. It will help you to know what actual health services you're able to have. A lot of times you may be able to have more health services than what you are aware of or what is actually offered to you. Give an example. It is possible to have home visits during pregnancy. You do not have to be sick to have a home visit. It's a preventative measure. And also home visits after you've had your baby that your insurance will cover. It will also help you to know what kind of parental leave, meaning maternity and paternity leave, that you're able to have, so that you will not be surprised as pregnancy, as you get closer to birth, to think, oh my gosh, I thought I had more time than what I actually have. Once you understand informed consent, this is something that you can use for the rest of your life, not only for health related issues, but also for just general business that your family may conduct. If you're buying a car, buying a house, really understanding what it is that you're signing. And so information you received around informed consent will be helpful for now as well as the future. And all of this is going to help you to really take a look at, what do I really, really want? Some women may really want to have some different experiences, like have a birthing ball, have a birthing chair, a birthing stool. Some may want water birth. Um, Even when you look at the care of your baby, some women want to exclusively breastfeed. Some may choose to have their baby have vitamin K or not have that. You may want the freedom to move around and to eat and drink in labor. And all of these things are important to know, particularly as you look at the location for birth, to see how compatible are those locations with what you're desiring. The other thing to keep in mind as well is that things happen during labor and birth that we do not anticipate. And still, how much of these things are you able to continue to have, regardless of what might occur in labor or at birth? And this information is helpful not only for this pregnancy, but also for future pregnancies. Now, the bonuses that you'll get with this coaching program is that there will be a private group only for those individuals who are participating in the coaching program. I will have live Q&A sessions once a week. You will also have a 30-minute private session, which is apart from those 4 live Q&A sessions. I'm hoping that we can develop a very active and supportive community and also some accountability as within the group as you move through the program. All of this information hopefully will increase your confidence to really activate your voice to advocate for yourself, for your preferences for pregnancy and birth. Now, this course is worth about $1,500. However, with all the confidence and new friends that you'll get, it's priceless. Not worthless, it should be priceless. Okay. Right. No need to be concerned about this. You will be able I put up new slides and this did not take, but I will have new information for you. Um, there is a 7-day guarantee with whatever you're purchasing. So if you're getting back to me by April 12th at 5 o'clock p.m. and you feel like this course is just not for you, then you will get all of your money back. There are links for you to be able to get 20% off, and those are available. And I will make sure that you have them for those who are signing up, that you have that information. Also, there's 20% off for anyone who would like to provide feedback to me. That 20% off is going to be good until April 3rd at 5 p.m. Thank you so much for those who would like to do that. I've developed the course, but I also want to tailor it and edit it as needed to make sure that it's really full for families and for birth workers. So if you have any questions, I am open to receiving those questions now, and I'm going to bring myself back in. Okay, great. Ziski, if you're still there, she stated that she had a doula for each birth. And yes, those are very, very important individuals to have to be able to provide that education and emotional support throughout pregnancy and the birth. So, yes, for sure. Any other comments at all? Or any questions? I'm just going to wait for about another minute or so, see if there are any other comments or questions that anyone might have. Thank you so much for taking out the time today. And for any friends that you may have, I'm going to repeat this webinar again tomorrow night from 8 o'clock to 9 p.m. On Wednesday, April 2nd. The course will kick off on Monday, April 7th at 5 p.m. So I'm looking forward to an exciting course this time. Yes. Okay, well, since there are no further questions or comments, I am going to end this webinar and thank you everyone for s- signing in. Keep in mind that the 20% off reduction is available until April 3rd at 5 p.m. And that is for anyone who would like to serve as a reviewer. Actually, when I say not reviewer, but someone to provide some feedback on the course. Okay. Thank you so much. Everyone have a great rest of the day. Thank you. Bye bye.